Rick, thank you for joining me in this conversation around the gospel and race. And just as we begin this conversation, I'd just like to hear how you feel or what you think when you hear those words, gospel and race.
Leroy, I think when I hear the word gospel, I think about the good news of Jesus Christ, that in many instances, it not only has been distorted in the church, but in our own personal context. And when I think about race, I think about the struggle to overcome and where we are as a church and as a nation.
I'm going to ask you a question coming out of Scripture, and help me relate that to the message of gospel race, and that's the story of the Good Samaritan.
I think about crossing cultural boundaries. In order for the Good Samaritan to reach out to the person who was in distress, he had to cross a cultural boundary that he was unfamiliar with. And I think that in the church, we have to be intentional about crossing over, learning, educating ourselves on what it means in order to put ourselves in a position to be a blessing to others.
I know that you serve in what we identify as a cross-cultural appointment. Tell me a little bit how that has influenced your opinion around gospel and race, or how does it fit into your ministry discussions that you can have with your church?
I'd always thought that my gifts and graces were the community that nurtured me, which was the African American community. And I think in coming to this church, it gave me an awareness that as we preached the good news, that it did prepare me for this cross-cultural, cross-racial appointment. I think I'm intentional every Sunday about welcoming people, about witnessing the grace and love of God within that context, and then about living with an inclusive worldview. And so it's prepared me.
What has been your biggest personal challenge in serving in a cross-racial appointment?
I think sometimes not being forthright in dealing with issues that I feel might be culturally insensitive to the context in which I'm serving. So I've been kind of restricted or feel limited in being able to speak truth to power in some instances in issues that arise in our nation.
Are there any particular resources that you've used yourself that helps you navigate this gospel and race idea of how it intersects one with the other?
Yeah, there are some resources that come from the General Board of Discipleship that I was given by a real good friend before I began this, and I think in looking at that document, which is on inclusion, it's helped me to develop some thinking around how I could make the church a better place.